How's it going today, guys? We have an exceptional video for you. It's 8 tips on how to improve the quality of your food on a budget. Two opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
You have food quality. You got the grass-fed. You got organic. Over here, you got budget. You got Walmart. You got Dollar Store. You have logs of ground beef. That's over on this end, right? The big logs.
The big logs. Like the 20-pound logs.
We're going to start with number 1.
Buying lean cuts of meats, such as chicken breasts, and adding your own fats, like grass-fed Kerrygold butter.
Chicken breast isn't keto. You need to have fatty meats. That's the classical narrative. But in a lot of circumstances, on a budget, it's probably better to be buying leaner meats and then adding cheap, higher quality sources of fat.
Yeah.
Because when you're buying low quality meats from the grocery store, all the bad stuff and all the good stuff, that's in the fat. So the protein is basically just protein. Grass-fed, conventional. The protein part of it is always going to be the same.
The fats is where it differs.
When you're paying for grass-fed beef, for example, like a ribeye or even grass-fed ground beef, you're paying like at least 2 times, typically like for steaks, 4 times the price of conventional, where you could just be buying a conventional lean steak, adding some Kerrygold butter or like some coconut oil or something, and coming away with better nutrition. Number 2, you've probably heard this before, easiest way and the cheapest way to improve the quality of your diet. It's organ meats. And the stuff that no one wants to eat, but the stuff that is the most nutritious. Organ meats, bone marrow. Bone marrow is actually pretty expensive. And organ meats are kind of expensive too.
They're not, organ meats aren't that cheap. And you'll find like organ meats in Walmart. It's like the Roomba brand, but those aren't good quality.
No.
So if you're going to go for the organ meats, we do buy them grass-fed if possible.
Online. I bought them from North Star Bison is a pretty good site.
And you buy it in bulk, so it's pretty cheap in that way, right? And then as far as cooking it goes, like Matt can just eat it. He's eating it raw. So
over time, I've
pretty,
built up to that.
Crazy with his...
I mean, I tasted it raw. I'm not just typically eating raw.
But like, I couldn't even fathom that. I still can't really take the taste of it that much.
It's not that good.
So what I do is like, I top it, honestly, someone suggested this too. I top it with some mayo.
I put a lot of seasoning on it.
Seasoning, but that doesn't ever do it for me. I need like some mayo, like some barbecue sauce, some condiment that'll help sauce it up.
Number 3, buying in bulk or buying the whole animal or like parts of an animal. Farm share type stuff.
So like, for example, we bought a 13-pound New York strip slab from Costco. We brought it home. We sliced it up.
$6 a pound.
$6 a pound. And it had the biggest...
Huge New York strips.
New York strips aren't even as fatty as like a ribeye, but this slab had a ton of fat on it. So when you're buying in bulk or bigger pieces of meat, they're also going to be fattier, like big briskets, big pork shoulders. That's a lot of fat there.
You can even get like a big salmon fillet. We probably got like, it had to be like a 6-pound salmon fillet or something. It was like $40. Learning how to cook the parts that you don't know how to cook, it's actually pretty fun. Like if you're first stepping into the kitchen, you're like, let's try scrambling some eggs. You probably don't want to be buying full animals.
Right.
But like as you progress, it's like, oh, I got these animal bones. What can I do with those? I can make a broth or something out of them. But like we made yogurt homemade before.
We make bone broth all the time, and we have a recipe for that. So like if you're unsure of how to make it, you can check out online is your best friend. It's your best resource if you have like a piece of meat or something you don't know how to cook and you want to.
Number 4, cod liver oil. Basically the miracle
flavor.
Supplement. And it's actually not that cheap.
It adds a lot more value than the cost does.
Well, yeah, we always look at things in terms of like how much does it cost for the size or something, right? When if you look at it, how much does it cost for the nutrition that's in it, is relatively cheap.
Well, it's a good source of vitamin A.
Yeah,
and
it's just
omega-3s.
a good fail-safe.
Yeah, omega-3s are something you don't get in your diet. You get omega-6s in bulk. So having something like cod liver oil that can help balance out that ratio is going to help for inflammation, for any like health issues you may have. It's helped with my psoriasis. It inflames, especially in the winter time. And so having the omega-3 balance has helped like with the inflammation of my psoriasis.
Especially if you don't eat seafood. It might be a good supplement to get. I mean, we take it every single day. Number 5, buying locally.
Which, to be honest, isn't always the cheapest.
It sounds really cool and trendy though.
Yeah, and I feel good when I see like, Georgia made pickles. I'm like, I'm going to try those.
No, even at the grocery store, it's awesome to see stuff made locally. At first, when I heard about it, it seemed like all these like hippie people, they're like, we shop local type of stuff. But when you really think about it, it's great because like we get meat from a farm. Now we also go to the grocery store, but sometimes we get meat from a farm and it's like that cow was born in Georgia, raised in Georgia, and it traveled like 30 miles to get to my door.
Yeah.
You know, you're cutting down on the airplanes that's shipping like these mangoes all across the country, all that type of stuff. You're really cutting down on that. Carbon footprint reduced, and it's just better quality for cheaper. So you're not paying for the shipping costs and the convenience of just grabbing saran wrap stuff from the grocery store. But it's not as cheap as people make it out to be also.
Yeah.
It's like Whole Foods type prices typically.
Like most people don't care about this. Like most people don't care about cutting their carbon footprint or buying locally. So if that's you, that's totally cool too. But it's definitely something that we found over the course of our eating quality. It's been worth it. It hasn't been like so expensive, right?
And just getting super preachy here, it's quite liberating when you can actually buy stuff from the farm and you're not just tied into like the American food supply. Whatever they have at the grocery store, that's basically what you can buy.
Yeah.
And the longer we go into the future, the less food is actually at the grocery store. It's just like grains and rice-based stuff, soybean oil-based stuff. It's corn and soybeans just like combined in different concoctions that you're supposed to buy as food. So being able to actually buy stuff from a farm, it's kind of nice. It's a nice card to have in your back pocket. And it doesn't take a lot of work to actually do that too.
I think that's where like probably the biggest misconception is, and people are going to think like, I can't do that because it costs a lot. Two, I live in like a rural area, or I live in a really highly populated, dense area where I can't get that. But check online. Where do we go?
Realmilk.com.
Realmilk.com. And that has all over the nation where you can look near you. Even if you just tried it out once, I think you would be surprised.
Number 6, the biggest one, less processed foods. So many people think they're saving money by buying in bulk. It's either going to waste, it's not nutritious, and if you really calculate it out on like a per calorie basis, it's not a deal at all. Like you're paying people to cook your food for you. You're paying people to process it, put it in packages.
Convenience and budget to me are counter to one another. Quest
sure.
bar is 200 calories for almost $3. 200 calories of ground beef is like not even $1, right? It's like 50 cents.
If you don't have time, you have to have money. If you don't have money, you have time, typically. Like that's the double-edged sword. A lot of people, I guess, are in the spot where they have no time, no money, that's a tough spot to be in. If you want to save money, honestly, putting more time into like the preparation of your food, learning how to cook, that's a big part of it. Number 7, eating with the seasons.
I'm not a huge fan of this.
Me neither. I don't really do it. But it is definitely good to be aware of, because if you're buying fresh asparagus in the grocery store
summer,
and it's like not asparagus season, just think about how that got there, right?
Is asparagus season in the summer?
I think it's in the winter.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know for sure though. Once the vegetables are picked, they're just degrading in nutrition. So like that's why frozen vegetables out of season is going to be good. Fresh vegetables out of season in the grocery store, it's going to cost way more, and it's just devoid of nutrition. So yeah, overall buying with the seasons. And a lot of times when you are shopping with the seasons for produce, it's super cheap too. Like blueberry season, it's like 2 for $3 a lot of the time.
There's always deals. And asparagus, I think, is where the biggest difference I've seen in season and off season. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this asparagus is so expensive. Like I didn't even buy it because we could just eat broccoli for a lot cheaper. I never put it together like it was the season, but now it makes sense.
Number 8 is frozen fruits and vegetables, as we kind of touched on. It's going to be cheaper most of the time, especially out of season.
Definitely cheaper.
And a lot of times it's just better in actual nutrition because
fresher.
It's flash frozen like pretty close to when it was picked.
Highly recommend, because you can buy it in bulk, you can store it in your freezer, quickly microwave it, quickly heat it up in the pan with your ground beef or like whatever, and you don't have to like, it could be pre-chopped. You don't have to chop it.
I mean, how many times have you gotten on your healthy kick where you go shopping and you just get like this huge cart of greens?
And then you toss it
and then at the end of the week, you're just tossing it all out. With frozen veggies, there's way less waste. Those are the 8 budget-friendly ways to increase your food quality. What do you guys got? You got any other ideas? We're looking for ideas.
Trust me, I was the person who ate at Taco Bell all the time, who thought like just everything was dumb. Like I'm the person who believes like one count doesn't matter, like one vote doesn't matter. So why even vote for in the election, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me to come to a point where it's like, yeah, it is actually really great to buy from a farm, says a lot.
Oh, the presentation we listened to in Low Carb Breckenridge, this actually got us kind of mad. So I can see you guys having the same reaction. There was this one lady that was presenting. She was just talking about like how cheap all these organ meats are and
Yeah.
like buying local. It's so cheap. I got an entire cow for like $12 one year. It's just like she has this
Nonsense.
total preposterous stuff, not in touch with reality at all. Yeah, buying locally does cost a little bit more. It's about Whole Foods prices, and it's better quality than Whole Foods.
We tried to talk to this woman afterwards and she was not about it. So let us know what you think and what we missed.